Hello, everyone. I don't know who is watching at the moment, but my name is Miguel Diaz. I am an amateur YouTuber. I barely did any videos at all. And although I have a few playlists, they have very few videos. Some of them are rather short. And yeah, I come from Portugal, and like I said, I'm a novice video maker. To be honest, I'm not really of that sort of guy of doing immense upgrades. For me, this medium is to post ideas and sometimes, I guess, read a bit of books, and so that people can experience whatever I'm trying to share with you guys. I'm not. I'm very interested in languages, especially conservative languages like Icelandic, Greek, and Latin. And I'm also interested in several cultures around the world. For instance, one of the cultures that intrigues me the most, especially recently, is Indian culture. I'm not talking about certain stereotypes. I'm talking about mostly ancient Indian culture and even relatively modern culture, but a lot of the stereotypes about India are very horrible to look at because honestly, it doesn't reflect the quality Indian I know exists and that I can envision. So overall, I'm just rambling, and I want to talk about events or languages, for example. The languages I'm learning right now are Latin, Greek, Icelandic. I'm trying to learn German as well, and a bit of Arabic. But most of this progress is very slow. One of my dreams for this YouTube channel is to become a Greek speaking channel. Though it doesn't mean it will happen. Like I'm not promising anything. Uh, any any person can join this stream. There is no hidden secret behind this. In fact, let me put welcome all. Having put this in the stream, anybody can really participate here. I'm hoping for a pleasant community to be built around this channel. And yeah, let's start about affairs. For example, something has been bothering me lately, and is that the Palestinian Gaza conflict with Israel. It seems that the Hebrews, so to speak, they find whatever excuse to stop the peace treaties. While sure the Gazans are not properly contributing to much when they gave two wrong bodies. And sure, I don't mean to I don't mean to offend anyone. I'm just saying that both sides are to blame, really. Israel was planted by England when it was the English Empire in the land of the Palestinians, and then the war started. To make matters worse, for 60, 70, 80 something years, to make matters worse, the Palestinians did, I think, 7 October attack or something that made things even worse, obviously. because now hostages. They have um, they have killed around 2,000 Israelis, and with that, the Hebrew population became very well Old Testament mental mode kind of attitude. I think that's the best description I can find for it. If most people don't know, the Old Testament is where a lot of atrocities are committed by the Hebrews, justified by God. And then there's the New Testament, in which they try and they succeed to kill Jesus through by convincing Pontius Pilatus, the Latin Roman minister, the governor of Judea, aka Syria Palestina, um, which was the name the Romans gave to Israel before, I mean, after pushing out the Jews and killing 500,000 Jews, by the way. Which, let me tell you something. At those times, even in medieval times, losing 3,000 people was a catastrophe. Now imagine for the Judeans losing 500,000. I think it was 560,000, if I'm being more accurate. It is a whole lot of loss for them. And I mean, sure, they did a lot of atrocities, but maybe the Romans went a bit too far. But now that we're not really pointing too many fingers. After, of course, they suffered a lot afterwards. But like around 500 or so years ago, 400 maybe if we're counting the Dutch realms. So the Dutch realms before it became Dutch. So the Holland in general and the other prefectures of the Netherlands. There was this problem in which a few operations and a few moneylenders became very powerful with time. And sure, this initially benefited the Holland, but with time they became weak. Like 100 years or so after, they stopped being the superpower they were. And I think maybe even before that. So at the end of the 17th century, the Dutch were not as strong as they were and had defeated the Portuguese several times. Our navy was one of the best at that time, and but the Spaniards they were not very good sailors. They were more land battlers, and so they lost a lot of ships in the Invincible Armada against England. And the Dutch, I mean, we needed to do a heroic defense against the Dutch in Macau, which is next to Hong Kong. I think most of you maybe know about it, but might as well just say. But we almost lost Macau. We needed the help of a few Chinese, a few Portuguese, and a few slaves to combined with the promise of freedom, I guess. And all of us protected our realm of Macau, which was lent to us by the Chinese Empire. What happened was that they never really sold it to us, kind of like the English forced the Chinese to. What happened was that the Portuguese were given Macau for 500 years. This was the contract, and the Chinese initially wanted to give wanted the Portuguese initially, I meant, wanted to give Macau to the Chinese people, but the Chinese that said, "No, you're being a good steward. Remain there, Tuga man." And this Portuguese good stewardship and suzerainty allowed for around more 20 years of Portuguese stewardship over Macau. And so we kept reaping the benefits of one of the richest regions of all of our empire. After uh, after we returned it, it also became even richer because they started building the casinos there, and Macau became a very prosperous land. I mean, before with the black ship trade, black ship, by the way, it just means Portuguese ship. It doesn't mean black slaver ship or whatever. The black ships of Portugal were the triangle trade between Goa, Japan, especially Nagashima. No, not Nagashima. Nagasaki, I think, or Tanegashima, one of the artificial islands, and with Macau as well. So did this did approximately a triangle trade, and it made the Portuguese very wealthy. In fact, with the it was only the wealth from that was only overcome with Brazilian gold, which made us uber rich. But there were a lot of bad times for us, Portugal, because the problem with us is that we were always a small population. So our endeavors overseas were never really compensated with a good amount of people, like the Spaniards. Just to give you an idea, in 1500, we had at most 3 million people, and maybe even less, so around 2 million to 3 million people in the 16th century. So even with a few other people from other countries that were allied to us, we were always most of the time we were in numerical disadvantage, and this allowed for a lot of victories from the Dutch, the English, and the Frenchies. After this, after this, yeah, let's go. Let's go. What I wanted to say is that the Israelis were against the odds a lot of times, sure, against many Arab powers, and the Portuguese were too. In fact, it has been said that a significant portion of the Portuguese genetics comes from Sephardi Jews, which were the indigenous Jews of Iberia. What happens is that, well, to be honest, compared to Iberians, they're not actually indigenous, but they're considered semi native because they lived there here for 2,000 years. I mean, there's still crypto Jews populations everywhere in Iberia. And it says that 20% of our genetics comes from them. So that's a whole lot. That's a whole lot. 10% comes from North Africans, and the rest, 70%, comes from the indigenous peoples of Iberia and the rest of Europe, which makes Portuguese and Spaniards also a bit um, some of the most ethnically, nationally diverse populations in Europe without counting new arrivals. Now, going back to Israel, Israel is actually a very interesting country. I mean, there's a lot of cultural characteristics that make Israel a very interesting country. For example, they are some of the most cultured people in the world. They generally have a high social IQ. So what happens is that they're very good at influencing people. I'm not going to judge much. I'm just going to say that they're good at influencing people. And they're very good in oral IQ as well. What I mean with this is that they're good at saying things and explaining things. And they're generally good physicists, although they're better linguists than they're physicists, I would claim. Nonetheless, there have been many Jews that were over that whose influence was enormous in physics. So they're also good scientists. There is another example of Jewish domination in a lot of things. Is certain sports in the Balkans, certain countries are best results were due to Jewish participation. And I think some of them say that very, very openly. Though I honestly have, of course, sometimes this might be a bit exaggerated. Nonetheless, they have a lot of merit as well, obviously. Now, going to a different topic. So, Ukraine and Russia. Yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about it. What happens is that it seems that I'm going to say the water is wet, and basically, Russia is kind of afraid of Tomahawk plus drone usage, and it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. Well, interesting for Russians, Ukrainians, and I guess the Chinese and Americans who can sell a lot of their weapons to us. Because for us Europeans, it's not it hasn't been very interesting at all. If we were winning, maybe it would be more interesting. But without that happening, for now, it is rather negative for us. And ultimately, let's see what happens. So now a bit of Spanish for the portion of this video. Buenos días, amigos. Yo soy Miguel. Yo hablo español porque mi uh, bisabuelita era de España, específicamente de Andalucía, y me gusta mucho la España. Pienso que es un país mucho adecuado. La calidad es tremenda y la temperatura también es buena, como Portugal, un poquito más caliente. mm, eh, Pienso que sí, pero yo pienso que tenemos que hablar acerca de un evento. Eh, el problema es que España no da toda la agua que tiene que dar a Portugal. Y con esto, algunos ríos en Portugal tienen menos agua. Pues claro. Cambiando de asunto, yo me gusta mucho, mucho la España, como he dicho, y pienso que en el futuro van a estar bien. La tasa de natalidad no es muy buena de momento, pero lo mismo se ocurre con Portugal. Por tanto, ah, los deseo el mejor, mis hermanos, y que todo os va bien. Let's change to Greek. Um, Kalimera. Πώς είναι η Ελλάδα ε, καθημερινά η εποχή της εμ, η εποχή της μας. Εγώ, εγώ νομίζω ότι η Ελλάδα είναι υπέροχα χώρα και εγώ εμ, εμ, εγώ θέλω να αρχίζω στο κανάλι μας ένα ελληνική μιλούν κανάλι. Εμ, πώς, πώς, εγώ πρέπει να μάθω ελληνικά, πρέπει να ξεκινάω να μάθω και προσπαθήσω να μιλάω υπέροχο ελληνικά και μ, yeah, ναι, ε, τα λέμε φίλες μου. So now let's talk a bit of Icelandic. I think this is just a curiosity's sake. I love Icelandic, and I want Icelandic language to be preserved and to be spread over many countries. So now let's speak a bit of Icelandic. Hello, Jäger Miguel. Um, ég, ég þessi video opnaði fyrir 12 mínu og, og ég og ég hmm, og ég elsku Ísland. Ég heldi það Íslandi ert ein góður ert ein góður landi og ég veit það í framtíðinni fyrir Íslandi ert mjög vel, mjög gott. So yeah, bless for now at least.